After the earthquake, we ate well for 3 weeks from what was already in the kitchen. That was a Tokyo resident describing the 2011 Tohoku disaster aftermath, not from emergency rations, from the ordinary Japanese pantry items that were already there. Japanese food culture built shelf stability into daily eating centuries before emergency preparedness became a category. Drop a comment. Have you ever cooked Japanese food at home? Number 10. Instant dashi powder. The Japanese food section. Dashi powder, the dehydrated form of Japan's foundational cooking stock, is the single most important flavor ingredient in Japanese cuisine and one of the most overlooked shelf-stable flavor tools in any Western emergency pantry. Dashi is what makes Japanese food taste like Japanese food. The specific combination of glutamates from kombu and inosinate from bonito, both documented umami compounds that synergize to produce a flavor intensity neither delivers alone, is the foundational broth that underpins miso soup, noodle soups, simmered vegetables, and virtually every savory Japanese preparation. 1 teaspoon of dashi powder dissolved in hot water produces a genuine Japanese broth in 30 seconds. Add miso paste, instant miso soup. Cook any available grain in dashi instead of water. The grain absorbs the specific savory depth that makes Japanese rice feel complete without any sauce. The specific glutamate inosinate synergy in dashi has been documented to produce umami perception at intensities significantly greater than either compound alone, the specific combination that Japanese food science calls the umami multiplication effect. Sealed, 2 to 3 years. Under 6-time-old box, 6 to 8 boxes. The foundational flavor infrastructure of an entire cuisine from a powder. Japanese flavor foundation covered. Now the fermented plum that survived samurai campaigns for 1,000 years. Number 9. Umeboshi. Salted plum in sealed jar. The Japanese food section. Umeboshi, small Japanese plums preserved in salt and dried, are among the oldest continuously produced preserved foods in Japanese culinary history. Samurai armies carried them as field rations from at least the Nara period, 710 to 704 CE. Over 1,300 years of documented survival food use. That history is not sentiment. It is the documentation of a food that worked under the most demanding field conditions imaginable across 13 centuries. The preservation chemistry explains the longevity. Umeboshi have a salt concentration of 10 to 20% and an acidity from malic acid that produces a water activity too low and an pH too acidic for any microorganism to survive. The combination of salt and acid creates the most naturally preserved fruit available from any traditional food culture. Sealed umeboshi have no documented expiration. The specific survival functions that 13 centuries of samurai campaign use validated. The extreme acidity of umeboshi stimulates salivation and digestive enzyme production, making any available food more digestible from the moment umeboshi is consumed. Documented antimicrobial function from the citric and malic acid content. The specific sour-salty flavor that cuts through appetite suppression and stimulates hunger when stress has reduced it. 1 umeboshi on a bowl of rice is a complete, traditional Japanese meal. The specific tart salty punch that signals the meal is complete despite the simplicity. 2 to 5 year shelf life. Under $8 per jar. 4 to 6 jars. The 1,300-year samurai field ration still available tonight. 1,300-year antimicrobial sour preserved plum covered. Now the ocean vegetable that makes any broth into dashi. Number 8. Dried kombu seaweed. The Japanese or Asian food section. Dried kombu. The large, thick, dark green kelp that forms the foundation of authentic dashi broth is the one ingredient that cannot be fully substituted in Japanese cooking and that most Western pantries have never included. Wakame seaweed was covered in earlier videos as a thin, delicate seaweed for soups and salads. Kombu is a different product. Thick, leathery, mineral-dense strips that simmer in cold water to release their glutamate content slowly into the surrounding liquid. The glutamate function is the specific survival pantry value. Kombu contains the highest natural concentration of glutamic acid of any food, the amino acid that produces umami taste. When simmered gently in water for 20 minutes and removed, kombu transfers those glutamates into the water completely, producing cold-infused dashi from water alone that requires no heat beyond gentle simmering. The iodine content of kombu is extraordinary. One small piece covers the weekly iodine requirement for thyroid function that supports metabolism, energy, and cognitive performance under any disruption. After making dashi, the spent kombu can be sliced and eaten directly. The simmering removes the raw mineral edge while leaving the specific chewy, slightly sweet, ocean-deep flavor of cooked kelp. Sealed. 2 to 3 years. Under $6 per bag. 4 to 6 bags. The glutamate-rich thyroid iodine source most Western pantries have never specifically bought. Natural glutamate and iodine covered. Now the dried fish that flavors by scent alone. Number 7. Katsuobushi, dried bonito flakes. The Japanese food section. Katsuobushi. Dried, fermented, and smoked skipjack tuna, shaved into delicate curling flakes, is the second component of traditional dashi alongside kombu and one of the most concentrated natural umami sources available in any shelf-stable food. The production process earns specific attention because it explains the storage stability. Bonito is cooked, dried, smoked, and then fermented with aspergillus mold, the same fungal culture used in miso and sake production, for months. The result is a dried fish that has been reduced to approximately 20% of its original water content. At this moisture level, lower than most other dried fish, microbial growth is chemically impossible. Sealed in packages. 1 to 2 years at full quality. Significantly longer with reduced but functional flavor intensity. The inosinate in katsuobushi, the nucleotide that synergizes with kombu's glutamates to produce the umami multiplication effect, is the specific compound that makes bonito flakes irreplaceable in the dashi foundation. Beyond dashi, katsuobushi placed on any warm food, a bowl of rice, a piece of tofu, any hot dish, moves as the heat rises, creating the visual animation that Japanese cuisine calls odori, dancing. The visual of moving fish flakes on warm food is one of the most specific food experiences in any cuisine. Sealed. 1 to 2 years. Under $6 per package. 6 to 8 packages. The fermented umami fish that moves in the heat. Inosinate umami dancing fish covered. Now the curry block that makes weekly rotation across Japan. Number 6. Japanese curry roux blocks. The Japanese food section. Japanese curry roux, the specific blend of curry powder, flour, fat, and flavoring pressed into sealed foil-wrapped blocks, is the most widely consumed shelf-stable meal kit in Japan, and the foundation of one of the country's most beloved comfort food traditions. Japanese curry is different from Indian curry in a specific way that matters for emergency pantry function. It is mild, universally accepted, child-approved across every demographic in Japan for over 100 years, since the dish was introduced through the Imperial Japanese Navy in the 1860s as a Western-influenced sailor's meal. The roux block format requires only the block dissolved in water with any available protein and any available starchy vegetable. The roux thickens the liquid automatically through the flour content. The curry powder seasons simultaneously, and the fat component adds richness. 3 cooking functions from one block that requires only boiling water and 15 minutes. In any disruption where cooking capacity is limited and family members have different flavor tolerances, Japanese curry roux is the preparation that feeds children willingly, adults satisfyingly, and elderly family members without digestive challenge. Apple, honey, mild spice. The specific Japanese curry sweetness that belongs to no other curry tradition. 2-year shelf life sealed in foil. Under $4 per box of roux blocks. 6 to 8 boxes. The 100-year Japanese family meal from a foil-wrapped block. Universal mild curry system covered. Now the pickled vegetable tradition that provides probiotics without refrigeration. Number 5. Tsukemono. Japanese pickled vegetables in sealed pouch. The Japanese food section. Tsukemono. Japanese pickled vegetables in their many regional forms, available in vacuum-sealed pouches that maintain room temperature shelf stability for months. Japan has one of the most sophisticated vegetable pickling traditions in the world. The specific pickling methods that produce takuan, pickled daikon, beni shoga, pickled ginger, and nukazuke, rice bran pickled vegetables. have been refined over centuries specifically for preservation and flavor. The sealed pouch format makes the most probiotic-rich and flavor-diverse pickle varieties available without refrigeration. Here is the specific function that earns Tsukemono the number 5 position. Lacto-fermented Tsukemono delivers live lactobacillus cultures alongside the most diverse vegetable preparation available from any sealed shelf-stable product. The vinegar-based varieties deliver acidity that stimulates digestive enzyme function. Every variety, regardless of fermentation method, delivers the specific bright, acidic, slightly sweet pickle flavor that cuts through the richness of any rice or grain-based meal. In any disruption where vegetables have disappeared from the diet, Tsukemono provides vegetable flavor, vegetable minerals, and probiotic cultures from a pouch that has been waiting without refrigeration. 6 to 12 months, shelf-stable sealed. Under $4 per pouch. 10 to 15 pouches in rotation. The Japanese pickle tradition most Western emergency pantries have never specifically included. Live culture vegetable pickle covered. Now the grilled chicken pouch that delivers izakaya in a sealed format. Number 4. Shelf-stable yakitori pouches. The Japanese food section, or specialty Asian grocery. Yakitori, Japanese skewered grilled chicken in tear sauce. Available in retort pouch format through Japanese specialty importers and online retailers. The tear sauce that defines yakitori. The specific sweet soy glaze of mirin, sake, soy sauce, and sugar reduced to a thick, caramelized coating is the most distinctly Japanese sauce preparation available in any shelf-stable format. Here is what yakitori tare delivers that no other soy-based sauce replicates. The Maillard reaction compounds from caramelization. Quality yakitori tare is reduced over extended heat until the sugars caramelize and the amino acids in the soy react, producing hundreds of flavor compounds that only high heat reduction creates. The resulting sauce carries more flavor per drop than any uncooked soy product. The specific sweet, smoky, savory depth that belongs to Japanese charcoal grilled cooking. In any disruption where the flavor of grilling over charcoal has disappeared, yakitori tare is the one sauce that signals fire cooking to flavor compounds rather than actual fire. Complete chicken protein from the pouch. The tear delivering complex caramelized flavor. The specific izakaya experience. The Japanese pub food tradition that belongs to social eating and warmth and deliberate enjoyment. From a sealed pouch. 18-month shelf life. Under $5 per pouch. 10 to 12 pouches. The izakaya experience most Western emergency pantries have never discovered. Caramelized tear grilled chicken covered. Now the sweet pounded rice cake hiding an extraordinary shelf life. Number 3. Freeze-dried mochi. The Japanese food section, or camping food specialty retailers. Freeze-dried mochi. The glutinous rice cake that is Japan's oldest and most ceremonially significant food, in shelf-stable format that rehydrates in 5 minutes or can be eaten directly as a crunchy, intensely rice-flavored snack. Mochi has been documented in Japanese culture since at least 300 BCE, associated with celebration, with the new year, with prosperity and long life in Shinto tradition. The specific cultural weight of mochi, the food most Japanese families associate with the most significant family occasions, is the function that earns it the number 3 position on a survival list. Freeze-dried mochi eaten directly delivers the specific intensely sweet, slightly nutty rice flavor of fresh mochi in a completely different texture, crunchy, airy, dissolving on the tongue rather than the sticky, dense chew of fresh mochi. Rehydrated briefly, the mochi returns to its traditional soft, stretchy, chewy character. Glutinous rice is one of the lowest glycemic impact rice varieties available. The specific starch structure of glutinous rice digests slowly relative to standard white rice, providing sustained energy rather than acute blood sugar spikes. The ceremonial significance is a genuine survival function. In any disruption where cultural and family identity has been stripped away by circumstance, food that belongs to celebration, to family gathering, to the specific occasions that most define Japanese family life, restores something that calories alone cannot. 25-year shelf life sealed, under $10 per package, 6 to 8 packages. The 2300-year ceremony food that never expires. Ancient ceremony rice cake covered. Now the rice soup that recovers everything the body has lost. Number 2. Instant zosui rice soup mix. The Japanese food section. Zosui. Japanese rice porridge cooked in dashi with egg and vegetables. An instant dry mix format that produces one of the most complete recovery meals available from any shelf-stable product. Zosui is Japan's recovery food, where kanji is the Chinese recovery tradition, rice in plain water. Zosui is the Japanese recovery tradition, rice cooked in dashi broth with egg protein and vegetables. The additional dashi and egg components make zosui nutritionally complete in a way that plain rice porridge cannot approach. The instant mix format delivers dashi powder, dried egg, dried vegetables, and seasoning all pre-combined, requiring only boiling water and 5 minutes. Here is the specific recovery function that earns zosui the number 2 position above everything else on this list except number 1. In any disruption where illness, physical exhaustion, emotional depletion, or the accumulated stress of managing a difficult situation has reduced the body's capacity to process complex food, zosui is the meal that requires nothing from the digestive system, provides everything the recovering body needs, and tastes specifically like being taken care of. Complete protein from the egg component. Carbohydrates from the rice. The umami depth from the dashi. The specific, warm, gentle, intensely savory quality of proper zosui that registers as medicine in the most literal traditional Japanese sense, the food that heals, 18-month shelf life, under $4 per mix packet, 15 to 20 packets. The Japanese recovery meal that the Tokyo resident mentioned after the earthquake, the food they made every time a family member needed restoration. Complete recovery meal covered. And now, number 1. The sauce that has been in every Japanese kitchen for 300 years. Number 1. Shelf-stable tonkatsu sauce. The Japanese food section. Tonkatsu sauce. The thick, fruity, Worcestershire-based sauce that accompanies breaded pork cutlet and has permeated Japanese home cooking since the Meiji era of the late 19th century. In sealed bottles at approximately $4 to $6. Tonkatsu sauce has been produced consistently since the late 1800s, with a formula that combines fruit puree, vegetables, vinegar, soy sauce, and spices into a thick, pourable, deeply complex condiment that is simultaneously the most Japanese-specific and most broadly applicable sauce on this list. Here is the function that earns tonkatsu sauce the number 1 position above 9 other legitimate and irreplaceable Japanese foods. It transforms everything it touches, and it keeps indefinitely. The acidity from the vinegar base, the sweetness from the fruit puree, the umami from the Worcestershire and soy components, the depth from the vegetable and spice blend, 4 distinct flavor dimensions from one sauce that pours over any available food and immediately converts it into something that belongs to Japanese home cooking. Any available protein, tonkatsu sauce makes it Japanese. Any available grain, tonkatsu sauce makes it a meal. Any available cracker, tonkatsu sauce makes it a complete snack with flavor identity. In any disruption lasting beyond 2 weeks where every meal has started to taste the same, tonkatsu sauce is the one condiment that consistently, reliably produces a completely different flavor direction from anything that preceded it. Sealed bottle, indefinite. The sugar, acid, and salt concentration creates the same preservation environment as Worcestershire sauce. No microorganism can survive it. Under $6 per bottle, 8 to 10 bottles. The 150-year Japanese sauce that keeps forever and makes everything it touches taste specifically, unmistakably, comfortingly Japanese. 10 Japanese survival foods. Every one of them built into the daily pantry structure of a food culture that has survived earthquakes, floods, and supply disruptions across centuries. Instant dashi powder, umeboshi salted plum, dried kombu, katsuobushi bonito flakes, Japanese curry roux blocks, Stokomono pickled vegetables, shelf-stable yakitori pouches, freeze-dried mochi, instant zosui rice soup mix, and shelf-stable tonkatsu sauce. Total costs for meaningful quantities, under $150. The Tokyo resident after the 2011 earthquake did not have an emergency food supply. She had a Japanese pantry. The distinction between food stored for emergency and food integrated into daily eating that happens to be shelf-stable is the entire philosophy this list represents. Stock these 10 not as emergency rations, Stock them as the Japanese pantry that makes every meal better before any emergency arrives and every meal possible after one does. Subscribe. Next video covers 10 Korean survival pantry staples built on the same philosophy of daily shelf-stable integration that Japanese food culture perfected over centuries. Drop a comment. Which of these 10 are you adding to your pantry this week?